welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. Ollie's still in the job. I'm sure everybody will be pleased to know that. It's Monday lunchtime now. It was a good 3-1 win at Goodison the other day on Saturday lunchtime. Caused quite a stir with the, well, Ollie caused quite a stir about the kick-off time being 12:30 lunchtime after playing on Wednesday night in the Champions League. Obviously, the Manchester Evening News reported last week that United had touched base with Pochettino. If that was true, I mean, you do think that the Manchester Evening News have probably got good links to the club, being based in Manchester, and you would think that they would have good links. If that was the case, if they had contacted Pochettino, you would assume, I would assume anyway, that they would only contact him if they wanted him to take the job. I just struggle to imagine that they've sat down with him and said, look, if we get beat on Saturday at Goodison, will you take the job next week? I just find that hard to believe. A football game can go either way, and whether you're having a good run of form or a bad run of form, suddenly something can click for you, or something can suddenly go the wrong way for you. So I think it's a bit stupid if that is what's been said, hanging your hat on one result, so to speak. But if that is the case, it might have saved it. It might be that 3-1 win saved his job. If that is the case, long may it continue. I hope he keeps winning games. So that remains to be seen. Maybe it was important for Ollie's job that we won that game. We'll never know now whether he stays in charge or not. So that's that. I want to speak about one or two things that are in the newspapers. In the Sun, it's been reported that Diogo Dalot is, or however you pronounce his name, I pronounce it Diogo Dalot anyway. AC Milan, he's on loan at AC Milan at the moment, according to the Sun today. AC Milan want to keep him. They want to sign him on a permanent transfer. If I'm honest, I don't blame him. I'm not surprised. I don't think he got a fair crack at the whip at Old Trafford. I think he's a good footballer. He's still very young. Great going forward. Maybe lacks a little bit defensively, but there's one or two players lack defensively in one of the best teams in the land, or so people will have you believe. But they're that good going forward that it makes up the difference. So I'm not so sure that I'm not surprised, I should say, that AC Milan are interested in signing Diogo on a permanent transfer. Whether he stays or goes, I wish him all the best. I think he's got a good chance of having a good career in the game. A couple of ex-Reds are in the news this morning. Caught offside have reported that Luke Chadwick has said that Luke Shaw is playing better now that he's got the pressure of Alex Telles breathing down his neck. Obviously, United have signed Telles. He's had one game so far. He played about an hour, I think it was, maybe 70 minutes in Paris. Played well, looked the part. He looks a real decent player. I'm not going to say too much about him yet. I'd like to see him a few more times. But one thing I would say about Luke's comments, Luke Chadwick's comments, I think Luke Shaw's been playing very well for quite a while, and these sort of things always come out. I'm not convinced Luke Shaw's playing any better now than he was playing 3 months ago. He does happen to have 2 assists in the last 2 games, which he often gets criticised for not getting assists. He does always get forward. He does always get involved in the attacking play, and sometimes things just work for you. Whenever he plays, he does try and cross it, and whenever he plays, he does try and get balls in the box. And sometimes it works for you, and sometimes it doesn't. And there will be times, I can't quote any, but there will have been times in the last few months where he's put equally good crosses into the box, and either somebody's not got on the end of it, or somebody's headed it over the bar. The mere fact that the 2 crosses in the last 2 games have ended up in the back of the net is sheer coincidence. It's nothing else whatsoever. He can't. Luke Shaw, maybe you can try harder, but when you're a pro footballer, even that shouldn't be on the cards, really. You should be trying your best at all times. I suppose that adrenaline is something that you can't switch on and off. Can you have more adrenaline because you feel under pressure for your place? Maybe. But as I say, I think Luke Shaw's been playing really well for quite a while. I don't think he's played any better in the last few weeks than what he was playing towards the end of last season. And as I say, the 2 assists, as far as I'm concerned, it's a sheer coincidence. That's football. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully, you know, that continues for him. Hopefully he keeps getting plenty of assists. I hope he does. You know, come back if he's got 10 assists in 20 games or something, and then I might say, oh, what's happened there? But, you know, I'm not having a go at him in any way, shape or form. I just think if those 2 assists have happened, I just think they'll dry up just as quickly as they started, and it's just a coincidence. So I think Luke Chadwick, I think they just try and get these quotes, and I don't know whether the ex-players themselves want to be in the news, I don't know. But they get these quotes off people, and I just think to be honest, I just think it's a load of rubbish. Luke Shaw is playing no better now than he was playing towards the end of last season. According to the Daily Mirror, Phil Neville has said that it's absolutely disgraceful the amount of game time that Paul Pogba's getting. He said, according to the Mirror, he said something along the lines that is vital to United's chances of success in the future. And it's absolutely disgraceful that he's not playing, you know, getting more game time. I'm not sure about this one. It's a tricky one, Phil. I understand his idea of having great players, getting all the best players in the team. But I wonder if he must surely have heard my comments over the recent week. When I say he's heard my comments, I don't mean directly my comments, because it's a saying that I use a lot, but it is a saying in football, and he must have heard the saying in football that you can only play 11. You can only play 11. So you know, if you've got, well, I mean, Phil Neville was in the squad that won the treble. You know, we had 4 absolutely fantastic strikers, absolutely fantastic. 2 players that played like as number 10s, Sheringham and York. And then you had 2 strikers who were out-and-out goal scorers, Andy Cole and Ollie himself. So there's 4 great strikers there, but you couldn't fit 4. And every now and again, Solskjaer played on the wing, but you couldn't really fit all those players into the team all at the same time, and you couldn't really fit 3 of them into the team. Even 3 of them at the same time didn't happen very often. It did happen, but not very often. So you can only play 11 just because you've got great players. If some of them play the same position, you cannot fit them all in the team, and it isn't worth putting. No matter how good they are, they've got to be really good in the other positions. If you're going to try and squeeze some, I've just mentioned Ollie himself. Ollie was brilliant on the right wing, and when Beckham was missing, right wing midfield, he was that good, Solskjaer, as a right-sided midfield player stroke right winger, that when Beckham was out injured for a while with his metatarsal, he was hardly missed. Solskjaer was that good. So if you're a player that plays in a given position, to be worthwhile shoehorning you into a different position just to get you in the team isn't worthwhile unless you are particularly good in that position. Some players are not suited to playing in other positions. So if we look at the way United are playing at the moment, they're playing regularly with 2 defensive-minded midfield players, which personally I think is important. Don't make the mistake of thinking that defensive-minded midfield players just stay in their own half or just stay just in front of the back 4 all the way through the game. You know, when we're on top, they're halfway into their half, and they're trying to win balls in their half and keep the pressure on the opposition. If you know, in games where we are on top, so don't think that they're just there to defend. They're not there only to defend. They're there to win the ball back when possible in the opposition's half and to keep the pressure on the opposition. In my mind, that's an attacking move. So McTominay and Fred are his favourite pairing at the minute. Matic has had a couple of games. Matic played against Leipzig. Fred played in that game as well. So 2 of them played in that game. Usually it's McTominay and Fred. And then Matic also got a game away in Turkey. He was the only one who played though in Turkey, and that went wrong. So I'm sure Ollie has decided that he's got to play 2 players of that ilk. So not only are McTominay and Fred his first 2 choices, I've got a feeling that his next choice is Matic as well. So in those positions, you've got the players who are not trying to bomb forward all the time, trying to get in the box to score goals. They're just players who want to get hold of the ball, do the simple thing, work hard, and keep the pressure on the opposition and give the ball to the players in our team that can play. So if those 2 positions are taken up, and then we're playing with a number 10, which I think Pogba will probably adept at playing as a number 10 as well. Bruno Fernandes is playing in that role. Now, obviously, he's getting goals and assists galore. Sometimes his passing might be a little bit, flamboyant. He tries too many risky passes at times, particularly away in Turkey the other week. He played far too many. But then at the weekend against Everton, he tidied his game up and played absolutely brilliantly, and ended up with 2 goals and an assist, as well as keeping the ball simple most of the time. He had a fantastic game on Saturday, let's be honest, he had a terrible game in Turkey. But he's a manager's favourite, he's a fan's favourite. Goals and assists wise, he's doing it regularly. So I don't see Bruno Fernandes losing his place anytime soon. And if he does give somebody a run there, against Leipzig, we played with a diamond shape, and it was like a number 10 really, the person who's at the front of the diamond, and it was Van der Beek who got a game. So there's another player champing at the bit for the game there in the number 10 role, as well as Pogba. So if we're going to play with the two holders, if you like, which is McTominay and Fred or Matic, and then a number 10, which is Bruno, you just can't fit people in. Obviously, Pogba's not a number 9. We've got Martial at number 9. And then against Arsenal, Pogba played the left-hand side of a diamond, but had to track Bellerin everywhere he went. So he's more or less playing on the left wing. He doesn't suit playing left wing. And we all know what happened against Arsenal, because if somebody else was tracking Bellerin that day, a natural left winger, a natural left-sided player, Bellerin might not have got trips up in the box. We might not have lost the game. We'll never know now, of course, but that's what happened with Pogba playing out of position. So Pogba's position is really a central midfield. He might play slightly left. He played leftish for Juventus. Everybody always remarks on that, but not really as wide left as left wing, which is what he played against Arsenal. Really, he was out on the left wing for long periods of the game. Doesn't suit him. So you just can't fit him in the team. So it's okay, Phil Neville saying it's a disgrace, he's got to play. Where do you want to play him? If you're going to drop one of your holding players, don't forget we were playing with only one holding player when we got beat 6-1 by Spurs. We got beat 3-1 by Palace. Brighton hit the post 5 times and scored twice against us. They might have had 5 or 6 that day with a tiny little bit of luck. They had 1 or 2 other chances as well, apart from the ones that hit the woodwork. So when we're not playing with those 2 holding players, we're actually a little bit of a mess. In fact, Paul Pogba played in all those games. I'm not saying it's his fault. Don't jump down my throat. I'm not saying for 1 second that it was Paul Pogba's fault. But we weren't playing with the right shape, and we didn't have the 2 defensive-minded midfield players in there. Since we've had the 2 defensive-minded midfield players in there, it's come on a treat. Don't forget the 2 games that we've lost. At least it was a tight game when we lost to Arsenal. It's not like Arsenal should have had 6. Brighton, Palace, and Spurs all should have had, or did get 6. So at least it was a tight game against Arsenal. It was 0-0 with Chelsea. We've won quite a few games, and then against Basaksehir here, when we got beat, it was back to playing with only 1 holding midfield player. Every time we play with 1, we seem to get beat. So I don't see it changing anytime soon. So it's all right, Phil Neville saying it's absolutely disgraceful and he's got to play. You can only play 11, as I always say, and I really don't see where they're going to fit him in. They fitted him in on the left wing against Arsenal, basically on the left wing. And then when he came on at Goodison, if you look at the substitutions at Goodison, Cavani came on at number 9, Martial came off, Pogba came on and played on the left, and Rashford switched to the right, and Juan Mata came off. So even at Goodison, where he got, I can't remember exactly how long, I think he got about 15 minutes perhaps, but he played on the left wing. He actually was on the left wing. If you look at the jobs that the players were tasked with to the start of the game, Juan Mata had to track Luca Dean everywhere he went, and Rashford also was blocking Coleman getting down on the right-hand side, which was what Pogba was having to do when Pogba came on. I don't think it suits him. So Ollie himself needs to have a think about this. So because that he's getting games in positions that don't suit him, Phil Neville saying it's absolutely disgraceful that he's not playing. The results are better since we started playing a different shape with more defensive players in. And I'm only saying this because he's coming on in the wrong position. I'm not saying it for any other reason. In a roundabout way, I'd argue that he's getting too much game time. He's getting too much game time because he's coming on in a position that doesn't suit him. So don't bring him on. Don't bring him on in a position that doesn't suit him. Either give him some game time in a position that suits him, or don't use him at all. So as much as Phil Neville thinks it's a disgrace that he's not playing, I think it's arguable that he may be even being played too much because he's coming on in a position that doesn't suit him and he doesn't do it particularly well. So I think, for me, Phil Neville's barking up the wrong tree there. People could argue that we ain't going to win the league with the team that we're playing with at the minute. Maybe we're not going to win the league with the team that we're playing with, but we're a long way off winning the league, no matter which team we play. You know, the results are not good enough. You know, generally, when we've played in a different formation with different players in the team, the results are not good enough. They're not absolutely good enough now, but they are a lot better. So I think Phil Neville is out of order saying that that's an absolute disgrace. I think it's hard fitting him in. Very interesting league table at the minute. Proper interesting. Leicester 18 points. Spurs and Liverpool 17 points each. Southampton 16 points. Chelsea and Villa 15 points each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams split by 3 points each. City 3 points between the bottom and top of those 6, I should say. Manchester City 12 points with a game in hand. So they could get to 15 points if they could win the game in hand. The game in hand, interestingly, is against Aston Villa. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but if somebody would have told me a team was going to beat Liverpool 7-2 and we're going to beat Arsenal 3-0 early in the season, I'd have assumed you were talking about Manchester City. I couldn't have imagined anybody else doing that. But another fantastic win for Villa yesterday at the Emirates, 3-0. So they've beaten beaten Liverpool 7-2 and Arsenal 3-0 in the first 7 or 8 games of the season. Absolutely superb performance by Villa and well done. There's talk of Spurs. The Spurs making a genuine challenge. They've nicked it again. They got an 88th minute goal headed by Harry Kane. They won at West Brom. When teams nick late goals and they're near the top, people always say that's a champion's mentality. I'm not sure I believe all that. You know, if it works for you, sometimes you get a late goal, sometimes you don't. You have got to keep going to the end, but there's plenty of occasions where teams keep going to the end, don't get a late goal, but still go on to win the league. But on this occasion, it did work for them. They've worked the socks off. Deserved it, obviously. They were the dominant team in the game, and they did nick it in the 88th minute with a Harry Kane header. So can they keep it up? I don't know, but they're a point off the top at the minute. They are level with Liverpool. So, you know, long may it continue. Let's keep it tight up there and make it interesting. Good win for Wolves, for Leicester at Wolves 1-0. Jamie Vardy scored 1 penalty, missed another. I think he's joint top scorer now in the Premier League. He'd have been top if he'd have scored his 2nd penalty. So yeah, let's keep it like that. United, 10 points at the minute. You know, bit of a disastrous start, but if they've got a game in hand on most of those teams, so you know, if they could win that game in hand, United would be on 13 points. Look, it's not great, it's not fantastic, but it's 5 points behind the leaders. It's 4 points behind Spurs and Liverpool, you might think might be the contenders at the moment, really. No disrespect to the likes of Leicester and Southampton. Doesn't sound absolutely disastrous, does it, being 4 points or 5 points behind? So whenever that game in hand comes up, let's hope we can still be, let's hope we can narrow that gap a little bit. You never know. If we can win a few games before we play it, we might, you know, fingers crossed, we might find we're 2 or 3 points, 4 points off the lead by the time we play the game in hand. So the international break's coming up. I'm looking forward to watching the England games, watching the any United players that are playing. I'm going to try and watch Van der Beek play for Holland, see what position he plays, see if he plays as a number 10 or as a proper midfield player, as I call it. Or maybe people are suggesting he could play wide on the right. Let's see if he plays wide for Holland or not. I've got a feeling he'll be more in a number 10 role. So that's that for this morning. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed it, tell all your friends. Please don't forget to subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, keep stum. Don't tell anyone.